Hello right bags, it's Jade, welcome to a special grounded video today. Guys, you know that the update dropped, the August update, and it definitely was a bit polarizing. A lot of you guys felt he'd been overhyped by YouTubers, as well as the fact that we'd seen lots of stuff in maybe some of the gameplay trailers from the devs. Well, we were kind of maybe hoping that the water update would come, but I did warn on every single video I did where I previewed some of that content that I don't think we'll get it this month. I think it will be maybe the month after or even months after that. But nevertheless, the update is here. It added a bunch of new perks, a bunch of new items, we've got 2 new creatures, and so there is definitely some content there. What I really love about this update is the fact there's so many changes and improvements. The UI is fresher, they've added more dangerous combat to the spider wolf, they've added a whole host of other stuff to lots of good things with the creatures, and just massive improvements across the board. It's kind of the update I expected. Now, what happens about the future though? You guys are obviously going to want to know the information again about what's going to potentially come or definitely coming. Well, now the devs have obviously started to help us out. This is a couple of boards that they use. We've got the feature board and we've got the community issues board. And you know what? Again, hats off to them. I keep saying it and I will. I promote good developers. I have covered every single game. I keep saying this as well. And I want you to believe me, people. Believe me. If it's a survival game on an Xbox or a PlayStation, I have played it in the last 4 years. If it's an early access survival game, the chances are I've given it a go on Steam. Most of this stuff I've done guides, content, I've covered the launch, I've seen what the developers do, and I'm pretty critical of how they launched the game on console, whether or not it's filled with bugs and whether or not there's massive issues. Even some of the biggest and best like Ark and Conan are still absolute trash cans at times in the way they release content broken and buggy. So trust me when I say this, grounded devs are literally 90% better than what any of these devs have done in terms of launching, in terms of communication, in terms of making sure that they're getting the right stuff looked at. So many of these games pumped out content and never looked at the actual fixes they needed. And when it did get round to doing the fixes, the game was too bloated, too big, and they lost sight of all the problems and issues. I told you guys, I'm the home of survival. Go and check out all the playlists. I promise you, there won't be one survival game on console I've not played or tried at least once. Anyway, I'm putting that out there because I want people to really look at what the devs are doing. They're only a small team, there's only 12 of them. So yeah, make sure you like it, make sure you're subscribed. Let's jump into what's coming to Grounded from the devs themselves. Okay, so it starts with a little intro. Our goal from the start was to include the community in development in Grounded, and that we want to be as transparent as possible features we plan to work on. This board includes high level details on plans for Grounded, and we'd like to update it as we progress each month. As a caveat, we are still in active development, and this board is subject to change based on your feedback, the state of development, what's best for the game, the unknown, and our future plans. Nothing is set in stone. Features could be moved up, pushed back, or unfortunately removed. Pretty much, that's what early access is. Details on certain features may remain vague until we are more confident in the idea, and we want to keep a few things secret to keep your experience exciting and unexpected. This also doesn't contain everything that we plan on doing, so please continue to provide your feedback to shape Grounded into the best possible game it can be. Okay, so they're talking about the August update. They brought the 13 brand new perks, mutations, Burgle's got 2 new daily quest types, 6 new recipes for furniture, new armor piece, the hat. Water fleas can now be found in a flooded area, and we now have the crow visiting the yard. So the perks, like I told you guys, I don't think that's going to be the end of it. They're going to add more. It looks like they're going to do a pass over them, so they may change what some of them do as well. The inventory stat management was there. They've got water ripples, which a lot of people now are thinking this is getting ready for the water update. It looks a lot better now when you're swimming in water, and creatures do too. And this is what's coming, but in a few months' time. The zip line, which I showed off yesterday. I'll bet it was only a small unfunctional zip line, but it is there if you want to go and take a look at it. The koi pond environment, yes, the one that I showed off first, it is going to be coming, and it does look like it is going to be a couple months away, so maybe not even at the end of September, most likely the end of October. Equipped items don't use backpack space, one of the biggest features you guys are complaining about. The hedge environment definitely needs to be fleshed out. I said that in my little review, or 10 things I want to see added. Just doesn't have enough going on the bottom of it. Password protected games, so no longer can randoms just join. friend invites will work more properly. New hostile creature, the mosquito, is going to come. New neutral creature, the bee. I had a feeling that the bee wouldn't necessarily be completely dangerous. I mean, in bees in real life, they generally will leave you alone. It's usually wasps that are the buggers. So it does look like we will, obviously if we attack them, they'll get aggro, but otherwise we'll be able to go about our business amongst the roses and they will leave you alone. New items, lots of water themed equipment, lots of quality of life improvements, signs, sticker based decorations. That's pretty cool. There is something in the files at the moment that says it's called paint. Just obviously paint's like tech paint. So it does look like paint is going to be something that we can unlock. Inventory management improvements and additional crafting stations. Additional burgle quest types and storage management improvements. So I think that some of that stuff could come at the end of September. I don't think that's going to be all in the October update. It is the main features that they're planning in the next few months. So this is what they've got planned. And these might take months and months to come. This might not be here till like Christmas, after Christmas. They plan to be in early access for a whole year. New creature, the Firefly. We've already seen the stuffed model of it. New creature, a roly-poly. That is a brand new creature to me. Story Act 1 will be complete. So at the moment, we know the story is incredibly short. You can pretty much blitz through, even if you're pretty new to the game, through the story content in the space of like 45 minutes at the moment. Graphical option improvements, full completable story, insect pets, phase 1, aphids. It's happening, we're getting tamed creatures. Now it's calling it pets, so we don't know for sure if it's going to be a case of being able to do much more than have one follow you around, but I love the idea of this. I don't necessarily want it to be just Ark, but some way, a compromise in between. The smaller creatures follow you around, and maybe you can use some of the big creatures for a limited time. Things like the ladybug. If you manage to tame one, you can only use it for a couple of hours and basically it'll be able to carry 100 grass pieces on its back or in its inventory. And pheromone control. Now that's been in there a while. We've got the ant confuser bomb. So obviously that has been something that maybe hasn't been fleshed out properly. And they have got the new creature, the ant queen. Sandbox environment. That looks amazing. If that's coming, that's going to be great. I told you guys I would love to see a desert environment inside the sandbox. Maybe even redo the sandcastle, make it a massive fort dungeon that you have to go and explore. Haze environment, obviously changes needed for that one. Obviously we've got the science lab there as well. High tier armor, tools and weapons, additional anthills, insect pet enhancements. So I'm guessing that once you tame them, one follows you around, maybe they'll give you stuff, or it could be just related to what they can do, like maybe in the future a ladybug being able to carry more stuff. Bird improvements, additional interactions. We might be able to ride the bird. That is going to be mental. And these are for the future, guys. These are like miles off. Additional backyard environments, additional creatures and insects, weather, backyard changing events, additional crafting materials, base blueprints, powered buildings. That would be pretty cool. We've already seen something called the grinder. Now I thought it was a piece of story content because you can't craft it or make it, and it's very basic at the moment. But it does look like that will be part of like the electronical sort of set of building pieces. More control over world option settings, base blueprints, defenses. We know we've seen a lot of that. I've shown it off, guys. We've got like the honey trap, the ice slide. We've got the catapults as well. None of that stuff is actually properly in the game just yet, only if you use the cheats. Framework for player generated gameplay. That sounds pretty interesting. Does that mean we're going to be able to set each other quests or challenges? Maybe even we'll be able to create our own sort of mini games and stuff. Base blueprints, higher tier structures, base blueprints, decorations. Now what they're looking into as well is dedicated server. They're not promising it, and obviously all of this can change. All of this is subject to change. But that is a great list of stuff, guys. It's confirming so much stuff, and hopefully it means you've got an idea. Now again, I could be wrong, but judging by all the other games I've ever covered when I've done content like this, I would expect some of this stuff to appear in September's update. I would expect the majority though possibly to appear in October. I would expect some of this content to appear in December and January, and lots of things like the sandbox and haze environment being redone. Maybe not until like February and March. That might sound like a long time away, but it's a whole biome. If you add in maybe new creatures to it, or you're changing how the creatures work, or the resources that are there, that could take a long time. This stuff, I don't imagine seeing a lot of this stuff until like March, April next year. and it will probably be closing out the last part of the early access period. If they stay in early access for a year, they may be even longer. Obviously, the way that players are playing the game, the feedback that they get, they may prioritise some of these stuffs to go a little bit earlier, and they may decide that actually some of this stuff they're going to push back a little bit later. So that's good stuff. It puts to bed any more criticism of YouTubers spoiling stuff, man. Why are you spoiling stuff? Well, you don't have to click on the videos, people. I mean, I'm still going to spoil as much as possible because I don't consider it spoiling. I'm considering it just giving you the option to take a look at what's coming. Okay, and then finishing off with the issue tracker. Now, I won't go through this maybe as much, but it depends how much stuff there is. But basically, it's a Trello board. And again, developers use these all the time. It's a good way to collate issues and what's going down. And you can see if your big bug that's affecting your game is actually being worked on, or the developers at least know about it. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so you can see all of them. So it's got all there, it's got the patch notes list. Definitely favourite this website. Pretty sure you can get it as an app as well. Their major issue they're looking into right now is save files disappearing. It's been happening a lot. It happened the last few hotfixes as well. Saves are displaying day 0 and content appears to be reset. And the game keeps crashing while loading in. So lots and lots of critical stuff they're going to be looking at first. Attempting to recycle certain items causes crashes and player delays while playing the game. Feedback system and closing the game on Steam isn't actually doing a job. It's crashing the game or it's staying open. Players can't see their friends in lobbies, and there's issues with hosting and joining multiplayer games. So before we go any further though, I will just clarify. If it's amber or red, that means it's a big issue and they're still working on it. If it's green or blue, that means it's actually been fixed or it has been fixed. So it does say here the save files disappearing has been fixed, but there are still problems with people's progress being reset. They've fixed creatures spawning through walls. They've fixed people being able to harvest berries. They've fixed issues when your inventory goes missing when you're joining a friend's world. They've supposedly fixed creatures spawning in and under the terrain, and they've fixed the ant eggs. They're still working on being able to spawn inside the mesh when you use a lean-to. It's what I used, the method to get inside some of the secret labs. Ants are stealing from hard to reach areas. That's still an ongoing problem. Insects that fall in the water do not drown. Again, still worked on. Backpacks falling through the ground on player death. That's still a problem. And certain blueprints aren't working correctly. Smoothie Station uses a whole stack of ingredients. That is still happening sometimes. And deleting a blueprint could ultimately delete that entire blueprint or some of the built base. But they have fixed resources not respawning correctly. So all your weed stems, remember there's 2 types of weed stems. And I knew there was something I forgot. I did a sort of recap video yesterday showing some of the other stuff that maybe hasn't been covered as much by the tubers. And there are 2 types of weeds now. One of them grows back. It's got a proper name for it. I can't remember the name of it right now. But that one does grow back if you see a name attached to a weed. Husky weeds. There we go. That's the one. They fixed the big giant arrows. And you get the idea. Some of this stuff has been in the patch notes, so I'm not going to cover it all because I have done a patch notes video already. But they do know, I'll go over the ones that are red or completely amber. The repair tool is still not working. Items are not always in their containers. Game difficulty is changed upon loading into lobby. And the Acorn mask doesn't have its proper texture. Players are hearing sound effects triggered by other players from miles away. And it does look like they're trying to add mouse controls properly onto Xbox One. So if you're using a keyboard and mouse, you should maybe be able to use it. So there we go, guys. I'm going to keep up to date with this. What I'll start doing now is we will take a look at this a couple times a month. And we'll see how much has changed, see what's been worked on. Generally, they probably won't update this until they do hotfixes. Because obviously that's when they know it's been patched and you guys know it's been coming through. But they did manage to do like 2 hotfixes this month, plus the big content update. So yeah, you're definitely going to see at least 2 videos a month from me covering all of the issues that have been fixed. And hopefully we can still take a look at some of the new feature stuff. It's really hard covering early access games, especially some that have got a bit of light content, and Grounded definitely didn't have as much content as other games at launch. So interest in the game, I think, would have definitely gone down if players hadn't been able to see some of the stuff that's coming. But it has got millions of players. So I'm going to be there every single step of the way. I'm loving the Grounded content. It's really nice connecting again with a game like this. I haven't had these feelings since Ark first launched, when I was doing all the news about Ark coming out, all the new features, all the new bugs, all the news about updates breaking and coming. and that's what made my channel grow massively as well. So I'm really keen to carry on doing grounded content as well as all the other survival content I do. So I'll be there, like it or not. Grounded has got a big bright future and I'm really glad they've actually put all this up so we can see. Until next time, rat bags, laters.